Back in the mid-1990s, when I lived in New York City, the city's largest Jewish newspaper at the time, the Jewish Week, ran an article celebrating Jewish organizations for helping the Muslim community establish themselves into organizations at the municipal level, the state level, and federal levels. Their claim in the article was, quote, "Just as we Jews were immigrants and learned how to set ourselves up to thrive in America, the Jewish community was proud to pay it forward and help the Muslim immigrants do the same." End quote. That was the celebration at the time. I then wrote a letter to the editor of that paper in response to that article. I raised the warning then in mid-1990s that the US Jewish community was ignoring the reality of what was already happening in Western Europe and digging its own grave by assisting the growing Muslim population in New York City. That was 30 years ago, in the 1990s. And by the way, the paper did not publish my letter to the editor, and I was not surprised. I raised this today amid the frenzy over the New York City elections. It's too late, everybody. It's crucial to acknowledge the reality. New York City is already lost. The Jewish community ignored reality for all these years. Whether Mamdani, the Red-Green Alliance jihadi Muslim, wins or loses the New York City mayoral election, the trajectory is clear. New York City will one day eventually have a jihadi-supportive Muslim mayor adored and supported by the progressive left and all the progressive left Jews. Anyone has to just look at Western European countries who embraced massive Muslim migration and its impact in overtaking their countries, endangering their lives, endangering their children and their little girls, and even having progressives supported jihadi Muslim mayors and government officials. Western Europe has already lived this movie. It's living this movie. The slow unraveling of confidence, the surrender of civic identity, the moral exhaustion that comes when a society forgets what it stands for and its identity. For decades, European leaders promised that boundless tolerance would buy harmony. They called it progress. They told citizens to ignore the erosion of shared norms, to smile through the rising tension, to ignore the massive violence against their girls, to treat concern as Islamophobic bigotry. But underneath the slogans, something precious was being lost. The belief that the country's culture even had a right to exist. Walk through parts of London, Paris, Brussels, or Stockholm, and you feel it. The fragmentation, the fear of speaking openly, the fear of being arrested by the authorities, the sense that civic glue has melted. When a society stops insisting on integration, it ends up apologizing for its own existence. That's the slow-motion tragedy Western Europe wrote for itself. Western Europe is in self-destruct mode that can only end differently if the masses raise up against the Muslim takeover of their cities and countries with the collaboration of the democratic institutions acting compliant with Muslim Sharia law. And now New York City flirts with the same fate. This is how great Western cities die, not with riots, but with surrender to Muslim takeover, supported by the institutionally supported Red-Green Alliance. Jihadi Islam is about immigration, procreation, and then subjugation through democratic means at first, then by persecution of those who do not comply. People in the West are ignorant of history and reality. Egypt, right? Muslim Egypt used to be a Christian country. Now look at it today. Turkey used to be a Christian country. Look at it today. Syria used to be a Christian country. Now look at it today. Lebanon used to be a Christian country. And now look at it today. Muslims took over Spain for a few hundred years until the Christian Spaniards succeeded in fighting back, liberating their lands in Spain and expelling the Muslim invaders. That is the only way any Western nation today can survive as well, by following what the Spaniards did then. Oh, and look at Spain today. Look how the Muslim migration is in the process of destroying life in Spain, Germany, Britain, France, Sweden, etc. The only thing that will save those countries is outright civil war to stop the evil that jihadi Islam brings with it. And New York City is in the throngs of experiencing this same process. As Dearborn, Michigan, and many other United States cities are already experiencing as well. The moment the Muslims start public prayer services in the streets, just as they're doing at Times Square in New York City, that's the sign you know they are winning and in the process of taking over. Think about it. There are plenty of mosques. They don't need to pray in the streets. These public prayers are a mark of control and successful takeover of a city by the incoming Muslim population. This is a religious jihadi war, but the only ones who know they are fighting a religious war are the Muslims. A vast majority of the Jews and Christians totally ignore this fact. Instead, our Christian and Jewish leaders, they preach more tolerance and integration of the Muslims, even as it is clear as day in every Western country experiencing this, that the jihadi Muslims do not want to integrate. They want to take over and to institute Sharia law over all of us kafirs, infidels, non-believers according to them. That's why they are so sure they are winning. Their opponents, the Jews and the Christians, have given up without even understanding that they are in the midst of a war against us all, as dictated by the Muslim Quran 1,400 plus years ago. You think that's going to disappear by just preaching tolerance and coexistence? The time has come for Jews to leave New York, as there is little left to contest. The broader struggle is already decided as the demographic trend is unstoppable, together with the Red-Green Alliance takeover of government institutions in full swing, despite who wins this election in New York. And as the Muslims gain more control of New York City, Jews in New York only have to see how life is for their brethren in London and Paris and other Western cities. Their lives have changed dramatically and no longer as safe as used to be. The Muslim takeover of this New York City is a given because the democratic system does not have the tools to stop it given the demographic impact and the Red-Green Alliance takeover of city institutions, city boards, school boards, etc. New York Jews must wake up to this reality. The golden era, the golden Medina, it's over. It is time to come home to Israel. Personally, I hope Jews come to Israel not out of fear of rising Jew-hating anti-Semitism, but because they genuinely want to return home. I want them to recognize how fortunate we are to live in a generation where we can actively fulfill our purpose as individual Jews and as a nation, here as sovereign once again in our ancestral homeland after thousands of years of being in exile. We have a bright future ahead of us here in Israel. There will be still ups and downs, but it is a promising path, a path that our young generation, our young Judean warriors, at least in Israel, we are a society awake to the challenges and dangers before us, and we know how to defend ourselves as a society from the jihadi Muslim world. We don't always do it enough, but much more than in the Western countries. The warning signs are flashing. Europe has ignored them. New York Jews and American Jewry cannot afford to ignore them. Start making plans to come home to Israel. And if not for you, then for your children and for your grandchildren. Reality has never been clearer. The bright future of the Jewish people is only in one place, in our one true home, Israel. And I know many Jews are going to internalize, and if Mamdani wins, they're going to leave New York, but majority are probably not going to come to Israel. They're going to go to Florida. But I have something surprising to tell them. Whatever is going through to happen to New York, it's going to happen in Florida too. So if anyone is not yet planning on coming home to Israel and they're thinking of going to Florida, well, that's their last stop. The next one and final one, yes, it's coming home to Israel. But come home because you want to come home. Am Yisrael Chai. If you are not yet a subscriber to our daily, belief-based, inspiring, politically incorrect, truthful videos about Israel, the Jewish people, and the freedom-loving world, what are you waiting for? Go to pulseofisrael.com and click to subscribe today. And yes, we are a donor-based operation. We need your donations for support in order to make these videos and get our videos seen and do all the work we do. So every once in a while, whether a large donation or a small donation, just go to pulseofisrael.com and click on the donate button. Shalom, everyone, and thanks for watching.
Pulse of Israel, frontline videos from the Holy Land. Support our work by donating today.